On the eve of Memorial Day, as the volunteers of the Indiana National Guard look on from distant Afghanistan, we pay tribute to those who gave their lives for their country. To be sure, they were soldiers with sworn duties to fulfill, but they were first and foremost Americans with families left behind.
There is no greater love than to lay down your life for your fellow man. They are our heroes.
They were our family.
He was our caring son.
She's my beautiful daughter, my angel.
My little brother and my friend.
They made the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
She took pride in everything she did.
He did it because he loves the United States.
It really made him feel that he was part of something bigger.
I am so proud of him.
Corporal Holly Ann Sherrett.
Private First Class Nicholas Alexander Medeiros.
Major Eugene T. McCarthy.
We remember them every moment, but on Memorial Day, we will remember
all of the brave men and women who gave their lives.
We will never forget.
Race fans, it's time for another magical moment at the Speedway. His voice has become an institution at this race. Here to perform back home again in Indiana, our good friend, Mr. Jim Neighbors.
Home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamore. For me, the new mown hay sends out its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Neighbors at the Indianapolis 500. At this time, it's a pleasure and honor to introduce the legendary voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Tom Carnegie.
It's time now to say the most famous words in motorsports is the chairperson of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mary Hallman George.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Settle in, everybody. The greatest start to any sporting event in the world is about to come roaring your way. Marty Reed, Eddie Cheever, and Scott Goodyear are upstairs to take you the rest of the way. Marty.
All right, thank you, Brad. Hello again, everybody. The emotions continue to build. For the fans, it's the excitement and anticipation. For the drivers, it's a little bit of tension and terror, and that tension's reduced the farther you're up in the field you have qualified and the more experience you have. But how would you like to be one of the 6 rookies about to do something you've never done before in your life? A 3 abreast start on the world's biggest stage.
And Marty, this is where driver and team really have the opportunity to really be prepared for this day's activities. Over 30,000 miles of testing here so far this month. And both driver and crew member know that they cannot make a mistake if they have a chance of winning the Indianapolis 500. This racetrack doesn't choose favorites, but maybe this racetrack has already chosen the winner today. We just need to race those 500 miles to see who's going to drink the bottle of milk at the end of the day. And Eddie Cheever, this race is about speed and also about endurance. But first, those 33 drivers need to make it through turn 1.
All the drivers in this field have but one thought: making it through the first lap. When you bunch up 33 cars all above 200 miles per hour, all it takes is one mistake and it's instant chaos. I get nervous just thinking about it. Well, the cars have started. They've pushed off on the first pace lap. Robin Roberts, of course, will be driving the pace car. And there she is, got a big smile on her face. Now, it looks like they may be going slow, folks, but she has to maintain 100 miles an hour and then up to 125 on that final lap coming around turn 4. And one exciting ride to the next, folks. Here's the Izod IndyCar 2-seater debut. For this race and every other this season, it will follow the field up to the green flag. And today it's driven by 16-time Indy 500 starter Michael Andretti. And in the fastest seat in open wheel racing, that's actor Mark Wahlberg as he rides shotgun. Boy, I think we all sort of envy him right now. Look at him waving to the crowd. He's going to get the thrill of his life. Look at this crowd, especially on the infield. It has been an incredible turnout today. Here's our GoDaddy.com what to watch for. Can a driver go from worst to first? That would be Tony Kanaan. Will the middle of the pack make their mark? And can a dark horse in a fast car challenge the front runners? Well, let's find out. Get our last updates before we go green. Rick DeBrule, you're up.
Well, if you're looking for excitement, go straight to the last row. That's where Tony Kanaan is starting for after a bad qualifying. Now, he knows what he's up against. He knows that he's got to slice his way through the field. He knows no one has ever won from the back row. That could be a burden for some people, but Tony, he didn't look at it that way. He looks at it as his chance to make history. Jamie Little?
One of the most talked about trophies in all of sports is the Borg Warner. 67 faces on here, all are men. Perhaps today will be the day we see the first woman's face adorned on this trophy and in victory lane. 4 women will take the green, including Danica Patrick, who starts back in 23rd. Vince Welch?
One of the biggest stories leading up to this race today has been the performance of Alex Tagliani. A year ago, he started in the last row. Today, he starts in row 2. Tagliani has never won an oval race, but he believes that his small team could possibly do it today. But there's a big difference between being among the best in practice and qualifying and getting it done on race day. But Tagliani truly believes that this team is ready and that he may be a well-known driver in the paddock today. Tomorrow, he may be a well-known driver around the world. Jerry Punch?
Well, Vince Tagliani's tiny team sits between two of the giants in open wheel racing, Team Ganassi and Team Penske. For many, these two teams are the motorsports equivalent of Yankees-Red Sox. The rivalry is that intense, there's no one the other would rather beat. And today, both are chasing history. Chip Ganassi hoping to become the first owner to win the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 in the same year. And for Roger Penske, he wants to become the only owner to have two drivers who have won 4 Indianapolis 500s. When it comes to Indy, it is all about history. Remembering it, and maybe, just maybe today, making it. Marty?
Well, Doc, as you see our GoDaddy.com starting grid across the top, to put a point on what you just said, the last 49 oval races have been won by either Team Ganassi or Team Penske. Can someone break that dominance today? And we talked about dark horses. Let's talk about them one more time.
I really believe that Will Power is going to be working with Castroneves and helping him as much as he can. But if something happens to Castroneves, I think Will Power will just step in.
Well, you talk about the Ganassi situation. Remember, those two cars with Dario Franchitti and also Scott Dixon were the fastest on final practice on Friday. Very confident, they said this morning, they feel they've got great race cars. Maybe not on the pole, but great race cars, and that's what we're doing here today.
13 countries represented in the 33-car field, 9 Americans, 8 Brazilians, 4 from England, 2 each from Australia and Japan, and then 1 each from Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, Colombia, Scotland, Belgium, Venezuela, and Switzerland.
We were doing some numbers this morning. In the last decade, 40% of the races here, 4 out of 10, have been won by Brazilians.
As they get ready to come to the green flag, look who is in the flag stand. Academy Award-winning actor Jack Nicholson taking it all in, and he will be waving the green flag, and I don't know if he knows what he's in for yet, because they are going to come blistering by him at over 230 miles an hour. Robin Roberts in the pace car brings him through turn 3 and 4. The field forming up nicely. On point, Helio Castroneves. He won from pole last year. He's on pole again. Does he make history, or does someone spoil his party? The field of 33. Now into the north chute. Coming around from turn number 4. As they come down the front straightaway, Helio picks up the pace. Here, the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500 is now green. Castroneves takes the early lead. Everybody makes it through turn 1. Can they make it through turn 2?
They all made it through turn 2. It looks very clean. Did you see?
No, they didn't. On the very tail end, we have a contact into the wall hard. The 21 of Davey Hamilton, the oldest driver in the field. He will be 48 in just about a week. And he's already out of this race.
The first 2 corners of this race are by far and away the 2 most difficult and most dangerous corners in motorsports. When you're behind like that, Scott, you never know where to go. You're on complete instinct survival. You can't plan anything.
And when you're in the middle of the pack where Davey was, where he qualified, it just takes somebody in front of you to make a maneuver and maybe squeeze somebody else, and then you have nowhere to go. Now, this is coming out of turn 2, Eddie. We're not going all that fast at this point in time, but you can see Davey's on the inside. Somebody surprised him, it looked like, on the outside. He was anticipating letting his car go up towards the wall, had to pinch it down. The back end got loose. The back end comes around, and a real shame for Davey, because as you know, we spoke to him in the garage this month. He just really felt he had a great race car underneath him. Now watch here just up ahead. Looks like he wants to go towards the outside, and the 23 of Thomas Schechter is there. Probably surprised Davey in the 21. The back end got loose, and his day is over before it got going.
All it takes is one little twitch. But look at it from this side.
2 cars high, clear.
See, Marco was getting that information on his radio.
Yellow, 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 back straightaway.
Was getting that.
He's off bit.
Well, for Davey, his best finish was 4th back in 1998. Today, it looks like he'll be finishing in 33rd. Stay with us. We'll be going side by side. Well, we're under our first caution here at the Indianapolis 500 for the 2nd year in a row, a first lap crash. This one involving 47-year-old Davey Hamilton. and that is Sebastian Saavedra. He started 32nd. He came in for a pit stop. We can also tell you the 5 at Takuma Sato also came in and topped off with fuel. While we were watching the crash, one thing that happened that we didn't catch is Dario Franchitti managed to get around Helio Castroneves to take the lead before the yellow came out. So he is our race leader, and you're on board with him right now, looking back at Helio. Will Power in 3rd, Alex Tagliani in 4th, Ryan Briscoe in 5th. How about if we check in now for our GoDaddy.com rules of racing?
Well, new to the series this year is what they call the push to pass. A driver has a button on his steering wheel. He gets 15 pushes of that button, and the power lasts for 18 seconds in length. He has to wait for a 10-second recovery time to be able to use that system again. It gives the driver about an extra 20 horsepower, guys, and an extra 200 RPM on the RPM limit. And the fuel trim, there's no onboard controls for the driver to adjust this year. That means no knob on the steering wheel, only one fuel setting. So if you want to try and save fuel, you better run in the draft, or you better turn around and start to lift off on the gas going into the turn, or have an opportunity to maybe use a higher gear. And the pit speed limit here is 60 miles per hour, Marty, making sure that they have to watch that throughout the day.
All right, watch this from the onboard. This is the start of the race with Tony Kanaan. He is 33rd in the field. Let's go back and show you. Here's the start.
Now, I have done this. I've started 33rd and last. You cannot pass until you get across the start line. He has certainly done that. Look at that. Almost got taken out there on that left rear.
Clear.
He's taking advantage of everybody in front of him. Not really up to speed. He'll get a draft here, swing to the left. All those cars
yellow,
in front
yellow, back stretch. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Light on the back of the car ahead. He turns around and knows it's yellow. He would have got about another 5 or 6 cars.
At least another 5 or 6. Every one of those passes was high risk.
It was 8 spots that he picked up in a half a lap, but this is going to tighten the field right back up. So if he's got the car underneath him, look out, here he comes.
But that really wasn't a question of the car, because they weren't even up to 210 miles an hour. That was him running on the outside line where it's really dusty.
Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch. He's caught up with Davey Hamilton.
Well, Davey, walking out of the infield care center, you look good, Davey. What happened on that first lap?
It's the first lap of the Indy 500, and Thomas Schechter's an idiot. You know, the bottom line, he's an idiot. He's 2 rows behind me, and I'm just taking it easy. We have no spotters down there, and I'm just coming up to the groove, and he appears. And, you know, instead of hitting him, I turned to avoid him, and off we went. So,
what will you say to Thomas when you see him?
Yeah, well, I'll tell him what I think. You know, he does it every year. I mean, it's not a surprise with him, and he gets away with it, but next time I'll take him instead of myself, I guess. So, one of those days.
All right, Davey Hamilton visibly upset after trying to get back to this race at the age of 47.
Scott, exactly what you said. He got surprised on the outside as we get back to green flag racing here on lap 5 at the Indianapolis 500. The 7th time now that Dario has led. In the 5th time he's led, and Jack is still up in the tower. He must be loving this job.
I don't think Jack wants to leave.
A lot of action going back in the middle of the pack right now. Dario trying to open up some ground over Castroneves in power. 2 and 3 wide through the North Chute. Are we going to try 4 wide? No, we'll think a little bit better.
This is the world's fastest traffic jam.
Danica Patrick in that mix, as is Mike Conway in the 24.
And guys, they've had a couple of aero changes here on the cars since last year. Also, Firestone has brought a new tire, and I like what I'm seeing because the cars seem like they're able to run 2 wide, just getting up to speed, something we weren't able to see last year, giving drivers confidence, and that plays a great part. As we ride on board with Danica Patrick right now, she's right behind the 36 of Bertrand Baguette, and you can see that the car is moving around underneath her, seesawing at the steering wheel. That's going to make for a long day.
23rd, she's now 28th.
Every time you move in the steering wheel like that, you take your foot off the throttle, it's a sign.
Well, we heard her say something on the radio, Jamie. What are you hearing down in the pit?
She is very uncomfortable with this race car, Marty. She hasn't been comfortable this entire 2 weeks of Indy. I talked to her team, and they said her car was moving around in final practice on Friday. They steered it up. They fixed it a little bit at the end of practice, but they said they've got a lot of work to do. They put a lot of downforce in the car to start the race off, but they weren't sure what they had on their hands.
All right, thanks for the update. And as we mentioned, she started 23rd. She is hanging on to 28th right now. While up front, it is Dario Franchitti, Helio Castroneves, Will Power, Alex Tagliani,
Bruno Junqueira.
one of our dark horses. He did a tremendous job in qualifying. had 6 practice laps, came out and put the car in the field with 4 laps at 2:25, and the Service Central crew is disappointed.
Every time you start in the back, there's always an incredibly high possibility that you're going to get caught up in something else. It can be dirty air, it can be being on the outside. He did such a great job of qualifying, but racing is one thing and qualifying is another. It's a different race setup, it's a different mindset.
Now watch for the yellow car. He's just a little bit high going through the turn, probably just got on a little bit of the gray. That's not where the rubber wants to be, and the car just came around on him, Eddie. Now watch him here again.
He lost it coming in. He lost it coming in, caught it, and lost it again. The area that he was in on the track is the area that Kanaan used to pass 10 cars.
He was 25th at the time of this crash, so our second caution comes out now as we've completed 8 of the 200 laps here at Indianapolis. Gives us an opportunity to go side by side again. As you can see, the safety crew taking care of business. One thing we don't want to see much more today, if at all. Still under our second caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we are getting ready for potential pit stops. And Patrick has come in. And Jamie, what was going on?
Well, they decided not to make any changes on the 7-car. Fuel only for Danica Patrick. They're going to wait it out some more laps and see if the handling gets any better.
Alex Lloyd also in. Graham Rahal, you see there, he also made a pit stop as well. Several other cars, Mario Romancini, and on. There's Takuma Sato. Now let's go back and take another look at what happened to the 33 of Bruno Junqueira.
On board with Bruno right now, coming out of 1 through the short chute into 2. And the car is loose. Eddie, you and I talked about this when we were away at commercial. The back end just comes around from him. And smartly, he takes his hands off the steering wheel, and Takuma Sato just goes by there about 180 miles an hour.
Look at the disappointment of the team. These guys had done a miracle. They got a car in at the last minute. He jumped in and went really quick. But qualifying, we always say that qualifying is one thing, racing is another. You have to have an easy car to drive in the race, and you have to have a very loose car to qualify with.
And that was really the crew from Jay Howard's failed effort to get into the race that came over to help out. And you can see they too just disappointed. All right, let's go down to the IZOD Performance Pit and check in with Jamie Little.
Here with actor Mark Wahlberg. And Mark, you got to start in the back of this field. With Michael Andretti driving you, what was that like?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, there's so much speed. It's like, you know, I don't know how. I mean, obviously accidents happen all the time. They said it's very rare that an accident doesn't happen throughout the course of a race. I don't know how you would survive something like that. I mean, it was like, you know, if we spun out or hit a wall, it was over.
So go to shophonda.com and enter to win a ride in the IZOD IndyCar 2-seater driven by Mario Andretti at the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma at Infineon Raceway. That could be you sitting in that car going so fast. Eddie, you ready to go? With
no.
Mario driving?
No, I'll pass.
All right, let's get ready to go back to green flag racing now. Let's reset it for you. Dario Franchitti is our race leader. Elio Castroneves, Will Power, Alex Tagliani, and Scott Dixon round out your top 5. Ryan Briscoe is now 6th. Tony Kanaan started 33rd. He has now picked up a total of 16 positions. He is currently 17th.
And Marty, these 2 stoppages that we had here help him because it bunches the field back up again for restart. So this works in his favor right now. He's trying to get up to see that lead group as we come up now.
Green. And you know the guy in front of him knows he's on his way.
And guys, Jack Nicholson is still in the tower. He's loving this job as he waves the green flag again, and we're back racing here at Indianapolis. Move on the inside. Watch out. That's Dixon down low in the 9 car.
Tagliani did not get it to him.
2 abreast down the south chute into turn number 2.
Townsend Bell in that green car on the high side starting to make some moves.
That's Bell in the 99. That's Rafa Matos in the 2 side by side with the 9 of Dixon. That is for 5th position on the racetrack. So Matos, give him the spot now. He has moved into the top 5.
Dixon tried that move and ended up losing some momentum here. And Townsend Bell again around the outside. The car is working excellent for him.
He goes around the 20 of Ed Carpenter. Carpenter's under attack from Thomas Scheckter on one side, Hideki Muto on the other. Also in that mix, Mike Conway. He's a little bit further back. There that battle continues. Now you see the 22 of Justin Wilson along side by side with the 37 of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
I have never seen so much.
Whoa, in the grass. We're going to do some off-road racing. That is EJ Viso trying to get around John Andretti. He does, but he almost goes off track.
Almost. This game doesn't count. He pulled it off. Oof.
We talked about it before. You have moments throughout this race. Nobody gets through without one of those frightening moments. That was one.
Everybody's racing like it's the last 5 laps. We have a long way to go, boys.
We can tell you while all this is going on, Will Power has moved ahead of Elio Castroneves. Get our first look also there at Simona Di Silvestro and Anna Beatrice as those two try and work their way up through the field. They're 20th and 21st. We've got some great racing all over the track. These two rookies doing oh so well. There's Anna in the 25. Let's check on Will Power. We mentioned the fact that he got around his teammate Elio Castroneves. As we come back front, he has pulled up closer and closer to race leader Dario Franchitti. Franchitti got the lead on lap 1, guys. He has not relinquished it.
Well, you can certainly tell him to start going around the outside in turn 1. He wanted to lead this race the last time by 223 miles an hour, so he certainly doesn't mind using the car up a little bit to lead this race. And to me, Eddie, obviously you're going to use a little bit more fuel running out front, but maybe he just thinks that's where he wants to be. He wants to lead most laps and get out there and see if he can run in clean air.
He's building his confidence. He hasn't had that many Indy 500s, so he feels very comfortable right now in second place. And he is helping the Penske's group by pushing Franchitti.
Just drop a little bit further back, and Alex Tagliani. He could be the giant killer today, the thorn in the side of Team Penske and Target Chip Ganassi Racing. Right now, running in 4th position. He is 3.1 seconds behind the race leader, and this car has looked good all 2 weeks we've been here.
They unloaded off the trailer very fast in that BMW special, and it was amazing, I think, to everybody up and down pit lane how well they have run Vince Welch since that new team started the season.
Well, and the key for them today is the fact that they had to choose the right downforce level. Alex told me he really thought that was going to be the key in regards to how their car handled not only early in the race, but how it was prepared late in the race. It didn't take Tagliani long. He came on the radio right away and said, this car is great. Great early. We'll see if it's great late.
And that's a big confidence builder, Vince, when you've actually chosen the right amount of downforce. And what we mean when we say that is that you want to put as much downforce on the car as possible without losing straightaway speed. You want that grip in the turns, but if you put too much on, you'd be slow down the straight.
Got a car in the pits, Mario Marias. It looks like he may have white-walled the tires. And that's not part of your blueprint that we talked about in our pre-race show. You can see there's not much print left on the lettering. Doc?
Yeah, Mario Marias complaining, as many drivers are, that this heat and this track temperature really get him to him. He said the car is so loose, he turns the wheels, and the car's in a 4-wheel slide. That's why he had to come down pit road and make adjustments after white-walling it there just a moment ago.
Now, they've got damage on the suspension on the right rear. You could see it sort of bowing from our angle, and it looks like they are going to be in some serious hurt to get back into this race. Right now, it is still Dario Franchitti with Will Power, Elio Castroneves, Alex Tagliani, and Rafi Matos. We'll be back after this message from our ABC station. Danica Patrick, we mentioned her, running 16th right now, and the lead of the 4 women that are in the field. We can tell you that Anna Beatrice is now 26. She is 1 lap down. Simona Di Silvestro in 18th. Sarah Fisher in 21st. So it gives you an idea of where the 4 ladies are. And you can see Danica and then Simona. And there was the view we saw while we were on side by side. The car, it hasn't been handling the last 2 weeks, but somehow she's managed to get herself into 16th right now.
And what I've really liked from her radio transmissions is that she's calm. She's working on it.
Let's reset it. Dario Franchitti, he's hit the overtake button for the first time today. He's in pursuit with Helio Castroneves right behind, and here we go. Look at them slicing and dicing behind these guys.
Watch third place right now, trying to make a move. That's Ryan Briscoe trying to get past his teammate Helio Castroneves, and a little bit of weaving going on there. I'm sure that's not going to be appreciated. But for the overtake that Dario Franchitti had, remember we talked about the push to pass. When he pushes it, he gets to use it, and he gets about 20 horsepower, an extra 200 RPM, and boy, we're back down the white line again. These guys are weaving in and out like you're on your way to the milk store.
What's the deal with the grass today?
That is Dan Weldon that has almost gone off-roading. And Graham Rahal, right in front of him, we've just been told is going to get the black flag for blocking Dan Weldon.
I think you really have to commend Brian Barnhart for calling these black flags, Scott, because this is not a place you want to be doing that at. If you catch somebody's wheel, you're in trouble.
And you're absolutely right, because, Eddie, you're at 200 plus miles an hour just on the entry lap, and then you end up going about 230 down the backstretch.
Rahal was running 9th, Weldon was 10th. He'll have to serve the penalty. The battle for the lead is starting to heat up a little bit. Castroneves is closing on Dario Franchitti.
You know what's really looking good is Ed Carpenter. He's running a very strong 4th. He hasn't used his push to pass button yet.
We just got an update from Dr. Jerry Punch on this.
Ed Carpenter talking about the efforts they put in today. You know, his car had a severe understeer early in the afternoon, but they made an adjustment on pit road, and now Ed says it's the day of the underdog. He said, remember, Ed Carpenter is a 2003 graduate of Butler, and this year the Butler Bulldogs were the Cinderella story in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, knocking off the heavyweights. And he said, today it's my turn to knock off the heavyweights here at Indy.
What he's got to do, Scott, and I'm sure you agree with me, he's got to hook up to that train of 3 cars ahead of him. If he can do that, they will pull away, and he won't have pressure from Kanaan, who is right behind him.
Well, and also, Eddie, I'm sure that you know how this works right now as you watch Graham Rahal, the number 30, come through pit lane for his drive-through penalty for doing that block on the number 4 National Guard car of Dan
Drive on
Weldon.
through.
And that is effectively...
Team telling him to do the drive-on-through program right now.
That's the end of his opportunity to win the 500.
There's Bobby Rahal. Remember, Graham, the last 2 years, has crashed out in turn 4. 1 year very early and 55 laps total between the two of them. And there's the block.
Definite block.
So he has already completed 83 laps, but this one very costly. He's on the tail end of the lead lap now in 24th.
Now watch what's going on here. You have to make your move coming out of the turn and keep your position. They say no driving anybody down to the grass, and the number 30 quick trim car of Graham Rahal certainly tried to impede the progress of the car behind of Dan Weldon. Now here's Bobby Rahal. He's not very happy with it, but I can assure you, Eddie, if it was Bobby Rahal driving the number 4 car and that happened to him in front, he would be turning around and asking for the penalty to be in place.
Well, and remember earlier, guys, when we saw Helio Castroneves getting a bit defensive, he has also been warned by league officials, hold your line. It is Franchitti, Castroneves, Briscoe, Carpenter, and Tony Kanaan. Kanaan just 3.7 seconds behind the race leader in 5th.
And why Bobby Rahal is so upset is that there's the cars going by right now that are in the lead pack, led by Franchitti, and the car directly in front of Dario is the 30 of Graham Rahal, and they will probably turn around and be able to catch him, and he might end up going down a lap.
Right now, only 2 cars that are still out on the track are 1 lap down. Sebastian Saavedra and Anna Beatrice.
This group of 3 is starting to become very compact. If they can manage to get together, it'll be a lot of distancing with the cars behind. That's the first time we've really seen that happen here.
Well, you saw the view from high above in our Helicam coverage brought to us by GoDaddy.com, but right down on the low line there, flying by the top 3, and they are trying to put some distance now between them and Ed Carpenter.
Well, those top 3 cars are running in the 223 bracket right now. Ed Carpenter, who is in 4th, is around 220 and change. Tony Kanaan is just around high 220s, 221. So no doubt they able to have the speed to turn up when they need it.
Briscoe right now 2 seconds behind, or I should say Carpenter 2 seconds behind Ryan Briscoe, as he is trying to close that gap on 3rd place. There's your top 5. We're approaching halfway here at Indianapolis. Back here at the motor racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis 500 is approaching halfway. We have 90 laps completed. Our telecast presented by GoDaddy.com, and race leader Dario Franchitti's got a problem, and that problem is Graham Rahal. Rahal's at the tail end of the lead lap after serving a penalty. There he is in the 30 car, and he cannot get past him, and everybody else is closing in, guys.
Franchitti's tried twice, once going into 3, and he almost ran into the back of him. Rahal is keeping the right line, and he does not want to go a lap down. But by doing that, all the group behind him are starting to pack up, Scott.
And it's interesting because I've watched Franchitti's car. His car seems to work better in 3 and 4, where we're headed to right now, than it does in 1 and 2. So he tries to inch up behind the 30 car of Graham Rahal, and he needs to be able to time it correctly to have a slingshot going down that front stretch. And he's already used a couple more push-to-passes. Remember, push-to-pass, as we hear him working the throttle, gives you an extra 20 horsepower for 18 seconds.
I think he's got it.
200 RPM.
Now, race control is asking Rahal for courtesy, and they just gave him a black flag penalty about six laps ago. I don't know if those two things mix together too
But wait a minute, he's on the lead lap. How can you ask this guy to pull over?
Exactly.
Doesn't want to go and lap down.
Well, but in defense of Dario, though, Dario's now running laps of 219, just under 220. Before that, he was running 221. So he slowed down the pace of the leaders because the leaders can't get up underneath to make that move.
But he is holding his line. He is not cutting off the cars behind him. He hasn't changed anything. He's just going as fast as he can. And I think right now he's hoping for a yellow.
Well, he is, because he wants to get that tail end of the lead lap. But no doubt he is pedaling this thing as fast as it's gone all day. No doubt his heart rate is beating inside the cockpit right now. Sweat's brewing, and he's just going, I'm trying as hard as I can.
But I'm sure there are a few Scottish choice words being said in that helmet behind him right now, because Franchitti has got to get past him and put some distance with the cars behind him.
But as you know from being inside the cockpit, and you get frustrated at that point in time, but you have to have patience. We're just coming up to halfway. You can't throw it all away here by being really overjealous, trying to get underneath them, when right now it's not the time to do it.
We're going to have an added element right here, because I think Castroneves is going to start inching his way closer to Franchitti. But it's looked to me like, from Castroneves' point of view, he's almost doing a Rick Mears race. He's taking his time. He's never in a rush in the pits. He's never right up somebody's gearbox. Like, that distance he has right there is enough so that he can get around a problem should one occur.
Vince, you've got more?
Well, that's exactly right, and that's that Rick Mears influence, Eddie, and that philosophy of using the first half of the race to get to the second half. And right now, Elio's car has not been handling to his liking. They made a front wing adjustment on the first pit stop, made an even greater front wing adjustment, actually went further on that front wing adjustment on the second pit stop. Still doesn't have it quite right, but that's the Penske way. Use the first half to get to the second half. Get that car right for that final quarter of the race where you're in position and then ready to strike. Elio's not there yet, but he's getting there. The 12 car of Will Power, we might add, had been running very well after that pit stop problem that they had. Since then, though, Power says he's got a vibration. It's concerning the Penske crew.
And he is running in 8th position right now. All right, let's go back to Graham Rahal. Now, remember that what happened a little earlier with these two cars, in fact, it got Graham his first warning.
And when you get a chop like it's going to happen right now, and I call it a chop because Graham really is running the correct line, and Dario was hoping that he was going to breathe the throttle and let him sneak down the inside, but that would have been a risky move for both of them because they're getting at the corner at the same time. If you're going to let somebody go past, Eddie, as you know, you breathe it mid-straight, let them have the corner. Dario should have known, hey, if it's getting hard going to the turner like that, he's not going to move over and give me the line.
That sort of a pass that Dario was trying to do would only work if the driver in front of you is in the mood to let you go by. I don't think Rahal's in the mood to let anybody go by, because he just got black flagged with a car that obviously is fast, because he's running the pace of the leaders.
Guys, while this is going on, let's update you. We have our 6th retirement of the day. Hideki Muto is climbing out of the car. He'll be listed right now unofficially in 28th position.
Probably a wise move on his part.
All right, there is Graham Rahal. He is the last car on the lead lap, 24th. Then you see the first 3 cars. We're looking back to Ed Carpenter, Tony Kanaan in 5th. And there is Tony. Then behind him is Thomas Scheckter in 6th, Ryan Hunter-Reay in 7th, Will Power in 8th. All right, we are 31 laps from our last round of pit stops. And we've seen a lot of changes occur and a lot of problems occur in pit lane. Stay with us. What will happen on the next round? Find out after this message from our ABC stations. Looking down from high above, Ryan Briscoe looking for his first ever win at Indy. Elio Castroneves looking for number 4, and Dario Franchitti, our current race leader, looking for his second triumph at the 500. And as we go on board, we have just passed halfway, and the leader at halfway has won the race only, well, 3 times in the last 23 years, and that is an awfully slim odd. So if you think this race is over, despite the fact Dario has led 95 laps, this race is far from over. Let's listen in on the audio as Dario was talking with his crew about trying to get around Graham Rahal.
Don't let Graham get you excited. Use your head here. We'll be all right. Couldn't get a word of that. The tires are really going out of balance here, especially the rear's going out of balance. 10-4.
And guys, we are just a few laps away from our next round of green flag pit stops, and we know what's happened so far.
And that was great information from Chip Ganassi to his driver Dario Franchitti, not to let him get too excited. So we now understand with the tires maybe picking up some rubber and feeling off to Dario, why his speed has dropped down to 219, 220. And we've seen Graham Rahal, who was trying to put down a lap, is actually stretching away from him. Graham's ran as strong as 221.
Franchitti is weighing the risk of getting around Rahal compared to trying to stay in front of Castroneves. And Castroneves at this point is not putting any pressure on Franchitti. He's giving him a lot of room. So they've almost settled into the fact, you know what, let's just sit here for a little bit.
Well, the gap for the last 8 laps between first and second has remained about 0.8 of a second.
I think Castroneves is really playing this smart because he's giving himself enough room just in case something does happen that he can avoid it. He knows they've just passed the half race mark. He's making his car a little bit better every time he comes in. He's getting ready for those final 20 laps.
And word from pit lane is that the 30 car is laid out, Scott.
So that in turn will actually take him off the racetrack and give a clear track ahead. So you see Mike Conway now start to speed out from having his service work done, but it's clear track ahead once the 30 car goes in.
And oh no, Vitor Meira, you see him in frustration as his car slows.
But the frustration, and this is an opportunity now for Graham if he made it inside the pit lane before the yellow came out. And Doc, you have more?
Well, Graham Rahal had already committed, as you said, to come down pit road to make that scheduled stop. But he will come in, make a slight air pressure adjustment, and he will go down and away. And Ed Carpenter was about to come in when the yellow came out, so a break for Carpenter to stay on the racetrack.
And the ruling is on that if you are headed down into pit lane and you can actually be inside the pit lane segment before the yellow comes out, you can go ahead and complete your service work. If the yellow comes out before you've hit the cone area, as we see the right rear of Vitor, or right front of Vitor Meira's car is bent, then you have the difficulty there in pit lane. Now watch Vitor up, and we seem to be having the problem in turn 2 this wall and this year more than any other time for some reason, Eddie.
Last year, turn 4 looked to be really hungry. This year, turn 1 and turn 2 seems to be the place where there's less amount of grip. In fact, we've seen lots of sliders, those slow accidents when you get offline and you just can't avoid hitting the wall. That was a big hit, though.
A lot easier hit than the one he had here last year, which fractured his back when he slammed into the wall into turn 1 in that crash with Rafa Matos. And there's the damaged suspension, and Vitor Meira's day is over. We mentioned last year, let's go back and take you to that moment. It was frustrating for everybody, none more so than Vitor Meira.
Going down to turn 1, Vitor on the low side in the 14 machine. Rafa Matos trying to go around on the high side, and the person that got the worst of that was Vitor Meira, who ended up with a fractured back and was out for the remainder of the season.
Well, what a great comeback he's had. AJ Foyt speaks very highly of him. The team has really performed well this year. It's bad to see them in the pits, obviously, here for the 500. But to break the vertebra that he did and come back and do triathlons and get back in the car again and perform as well as he did, I think that is an incredible effort.
Well, the high point was his very first race back when he was down in Brazil, got the podium, finished third, and in front of his home country.
Great athlete.
Yes, yes. Great to see him at the racetrack, but not in this position as he's out of the race.
And you know, Eddie, you've had the same situation as I have also. When you haven't completed the race and you come down pit lane and you're climbing out of your car before the day is finished, it's a very hollow feeling.
It's terrible because you've dreamed about coming back to the Indy 500 from the previous year before. You put all this work into it. You have all these meetings in the winter. You spend all the time training and getting ready for it. Then to get out before the end is just terrible.
Pit lane is closed, but you can come in if you are low on fuel. Now, all they're going to be able to do here, this is Ed Carpenter, he is going to come in and just take a splash. Doc?
You're exactly right. He is out of fuel, just coughing on fumes here, and they said we have to come this time. He was actually coming in behind Graham Rahal when the yellow came out, and he stayed on the racetrack. So he comes in, gets a splash of fuel. They will come back in momentarily when the pits open to change all 4 tires and make an air pressure adjustment.
That's a really bad break for him. That is really unlucky because he was running so well. Now he's got to be, he'll still be on the lead lap, but he's all the way back. And he had fought his way through the traffic to get up front.
Well, Jamie has already caught up with Vitor Meira.
Yes, and he got out of the car very frustrated. AJ Foyt came off the stand. Vitor, I know it's an upsetting time right now. What did you tell AJ?
Yeah, it is upsetting time. It is upsetting because everybody from ABC, everybody from AJ Foyt put a lot of effort into this month, and I mean, someone made a mistake. I came inside, got tires full of marbles, and didn't turn. I should have known better. Should have not get caught up in the moment. So I apologize for ABC, Supply, for the whole fight. I mean, the car was very good. Maybe not the fastest, but very, very good in traffic. It's a shame.
After what happened last year, it's good to see Vitor Meira back here in the Indy 500, guys, and we're getting ready for pit stops down here.
All right, thanks for the update, Jamie, as we're still waiting for pit lane to open up, and they'll have to do another lap around, so it gives us an opportunity to talk about, follow up on what Vitor was saying.
Well, you know, Vitor, they did have a bit of a difficult month, had trouble getting the car up to speed, and as the month wore on, they were trying to also put the car in for AJ Foyt the fourth, and the grandson of AJ Foyt, and it didn't work out very well. We understand there was a heated moment in the garage back in Gasoline Alley, and then AJ decided to go and replace AJ the fourth with Jacques Lazier. That car did not get up to speed also, so they were trying for 2 cars this month, Marty, but ended up just with the one with Vitor Meira.
The reason we're still waiting for pit road to open here on our 6th caution is they're trying to get the cars in the proper order so that everybody comes down pit road in the appropriate spot. All right, let's talk about what's coming up on ABC. It's Scoundrels. The series premiere is Sunday, June 20th at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. It stars Virginia Madsen and David James Elliott. The one thing that holds its family together is handcuffs. They've made crime a family business. As we mentioned, it's our 6th caution as we get ready for another round of pit stops, and this has been probably the most frightening moment for everybody. It's like, which team's going to make the next mistake? We've had several so far, 3.
A good team owner would have gotten all of his group together after that first pit stop and calmed everybody down. It's more important to do it right than to be a half a second quicker and run the possibility of a tire coming off. And both Penske and Ganassi have put a little bit of a problem in their planning by having that happen today.
All right, here they come down pit road. Ed Carpenter, remember he was 4th when he had to pit. He's now 19th. Let's quickly check in first with Rick DeBrule.
And Tony Kanaan has been in a fuel-saving mode up until now. Probably going to continue on. Their goal right now, a quick change in the front wing, not much. Get him back out. He was almost out of fuel, guys. He had to come in.
And it looks like they're having a little bit of difficulty as they finally getting back out. And here come our race leaders as everybody is taking advantage. Vince?
Well, Dario Franchitti has led more than 100 laps today. It's been a dominating performance. He's there in the middle, had a bit of a vibration, as did Briscoe and Castroneves. They're all going with fresh tires, thinking that will take care of the vibrations.
And look at the race off pit road, and you can see. Dario Franchitti and Castroneves hold station. Tony Kanaan picks up a spot. Briscoe loses one. Here comes Will Power back into play. And Scott Dixon's crew, after their last miscue, picks him up 4 positions. He's back in the top 10.
Kanaan has gone from 33rd to 3rd.
Things are getting interesting again. Now, we should point out that technically is not 3rd because Thomas Scheckter, from what we understand, has stayed out, so it may be he's actually 2nd, but first out of pit lane. All right, let's get a chance here while we've got it. Let's talk to Tony Kanaan on our two-way radio and see how he feels about this run from 33rd.
Tony Kanaan, Scott Goodyear up in the ABC booth. Buddy, I got to tell you, we are impressed. All the way from 33rd and dead last, and you're marching your way up through the field. Do you have the car that can make the win today? Well, we're reaching out to Tony, but right now I don't think it's getting through, guys. But what an incredible run that we have with Tony Kanaan right now.
He's done a great job at avoiding problems. He's had some incredible restarts. Now it's going to come down to speed. He doesn't have that many people ahead of him. He's in the fast part of the group. So we'll see if he really has that pace. I got a feeling that once he gets his hook into this front group, he's not going to let go.
Well, and the thing about it is, how much downforce did you put on the race car to start the race with? Because he was back there, had to get through traffic, maybe a little bit more downforce, that's a little bit more grip for the car in the turns, might not run down the straightaways as quick as the leaders. It'll be interesting to see if they can make some changes as the race goes on to make that car as quick as it needs to be for the run to the end.
We'll see. You're asking why did Thomas Scheckter not pit? He pitted on lap 105. Everybody else came in under the caution at lap 109. He was not a lap down, was able to stay on the lead lap, and then when everybody cycles through, he picks up the race lead. But he is now 4 laps shorter on fuel than everybody behind him. But right now, Thomas Scheckter becomes our 4th different leader and our 6th lead change.
And this will be very interesting to see if Scheckter has the pace of the leaders, which could play a part later in the race. We talk about 4 laps different on fuel strategy. Well, that might not make a big difference right now because we could have another yellow close to when he could pit and the other group wants to. I mean, for me right now, how fast will the car go, Eddie? That's what he's thinking inside the cockpit.
I don't think he can do 221s in front. He's been very good. They've done the right strategy, and he has not used his push to pass yet. He's still got 15 of them left. So he's confident. We'll see.
Dario Franchitti, on the other hand, has 11 overtake push to pass hits left. He's 2nd in the queue, as Scott always likes to call it. And Dario has now led 101 laps today. Since 1995, only 3 drivers have led more than 100 laps in a single 500. In 2000, Juan Pablo Montoya won. So did Scott Dixon in 2008, but Dan Weldon in 06 finished 4th. Let's bring in Brent Musburger. Brent, your impression so far?
Marty, it's rather interesting as you watch Helio Castroneves, and if you go back to the pre-race show when he told Vince Welch, the most important thing when you go green at Indianapolis is to stay out of trouble. And that is exactly what Castroneves has done here today as he stocks a record-tying 4th Indianapolis 500 victory. He is right now sitting in 3rd behind Scheckter and Franchitti, and Scheckter may be driving the race of his life. He has stalked this lead all race long, and now because he was able to stay out, he has our lead. And Marty, will see what happens when they go green again.
And the question will be, as you pointed out, Eddie, does he have the speed to hold off that passel of cars that are right behind him? As we get ready, green flag is in the air. We'll get our answer very quickly. Franchitti's right up behind him, and Franchitti is on the button. He has hit the push to pass. Will it pay off? Scheckter has not. And look at what's going on as we head towards one. Tony Kanaan trying to get underneath Helio Castroneves, and he does it. He takes over 3rd. Scheckter manages to hold him off. Look out as we head into 2. That's Ryan Hunter-Reay. Oh, so close, and he gets the pass. And underneath also. Right behind him, another car. Everybody.
Oh, Townsend Bell got a nice run because Will Power got slowed up, but it was Marco that took advantage of the loss of steam from both those guys and got a great run on.
So, just that quickly, a number of changes. Thomas Scheckter still continues to lead. It looks like it's settled down, but right behind him, there you see Dario Franchitti. And Franchitti takes a look to the left side of him. He goes into 1, and he does take the lead again. So now it is Franchitti, Scheckter, then Kanaan.
And Kanaan is getting ready. He's lining up Scheckter.
Oh, he's got to run because Scheckter got slowed up a little bit, lost a bit of momentum from going into one with Dario. So now for certain, no, he slides down 215, 18 miles an hour, holds it through 3.
So Tony Kanaan now from 33rd is up to 2nd. What a story he is writing. Can he hold on to this and seal the deal and make history here at the 500? He pulls away from now Thomas Scheckter. Scheckter under attack now from Elio Castroneves as Castroneves closing in on him. Right behind Castroneves, it's Ryan Briscoe, then Ryan Hunter-Reay. Marco Andretti has moved into 7th, Townsend Bell 8th, Will Power 9th, Dan Weldon rounds out your top 10. We mentioned Ryan Hunter-Reay. There he is. He is closing in on Briscoe.
Oh, they're really picking up the pace here.
Yeah, we're only 15 laps past halfway, and the speeds are cranking up here as 222 that last lap by our race leader. And there he is, Dario Franchitti, now leading his 103rd lap today.
So Franchitti is right back on plan again. He's been doing this all day long. He gets, every now and again, he falls behind, has to pass somebody. He makes clean passes, and now he's just trying to eat laps. He's trying to keep maintaining his lead. He's starting to play down his laps for the finish, for the last pit stop. He's got his car working properly, and it's everybody else now has to work to catch up to him, and he's gaining on Kanaan.
So Dario Franchitti is out in front by 1.2 seconds over Tony Kanaan. That's right, the guy who was 33rd is now 2nd. Welcome back to the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. And the great thing about side-by-side, you saw that pass by Marco Andretti over his teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay, moved Marco up to 6th. Let's set it for you. It's Franchitti led by Kanaan of 3.4 seconds in 2nd. Thomas Scheckter in 3rd. Castroneves 4th. Briscoe 5th. And you're riding on board with 6th place, Marco Andretti. All right, let's go back to the front of the pack and let's get our first up to speed of the day as we've completed 120 of 200 laps. Dario Franchitti. Vince, what's the latest?
Well, Dario had a vibration toward the end of that last stint. I think it was just the fact that the tires were near the end of their life, so the car much better for Dario. You know, it's interesting now, the guys, that Dario has led the majority of these races. Remember when he won the race in 2007? It was Tony Kanaan who had led the majority of the races. Today, Dario's leading the majority of the laps. Wouldn't it be interesting if this ended up being Kanaan today? Rick DeBrule.
And Tony Kanaan has had the calm voice of Steve Horn in his head all afternoon, telling him exactly what to do. For a while, they're on a fuel-saving strategy. Now it's just a matter of keeping his place so he stays up there right where he's supposed to be. A few minor adjustments, but overall happy with the car. Now, behind him is Thomas Scheckter. And Thomas Scheckter is having a great race. Remember, he led the first 2 laps, first 2 races he was here, was able to lead again today. His strategist, Larry Curry, says the car's doing just great. Vince?
Well, and Elio Castroneves has had one of those days. He's not been the headliner as many thought he would be. They've made wing adjustments on the first couple of pit stops, but the car is getting better for Elio, and they just communicated, be thinking about what you're going to need for the end. That's a good sign for Elio Castroneves. Elio currently running 4th. His teammate Ryan Briscoe is running in 5th position. Briscoe has not had made changes to his car either of the last 2 pit stops. It's been a very good run for Ryan Briscoe. Driving for Roger Penske, he says, just gives you confidence that you can win. Maybe today is Ryan's day. Jamie Little.
And Marco Andretti just moved into the 6th spot, started 16th. Marco Andretti appeared to be the most confident of all the Andretti Autosport drivers coming into this race. He said he had full confidence in the ability of this race car, and this is one of his favorite places to race at. He's always ran well. Last 2 stops, no changes. He's saying he's not very good in the draft, but overall the balance is good. Now behind him is his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. You can give the credit to Ryan Hunter-Reay for helping get Tony Kanaan in this field. Tony Kanaan actually borrowed the rear end of this 37 car of Ryan Hunter-Reay. They got the job done. That put Ryan behind the schedule, but the cars so far so good. Vince?
Well, remember in the first part of the race, Will Power had that problem with the fuel nozzle, the fuel probe in the pits. It dropped him back. He has a much better car than what 8th place might indicate. Power made the comment to me earlier this week. He said, I've been thinking a lot about this this race, I feel like I've got a chance to win, so you so badly want everything to go right. Well, it hasn't gone right, but they've been telling him on the radio, remember, it's 500 miles, we're in the top 10, we've still got a chance, plenty to go. Doc Punch?
And Townsend Bell, just like what you're talking about, Vince, not showing exactly what he's got right now. Townsend being very, very patient, very deliberate, sitting in ninth position. The very first pit stop of the day, they made a half a turn wing adjustment. They have made no other adjustments on the car. Remember what happened a year ago? Townsend Bell sat there, waited patiently, and in the final 50 laps moved up for a 4th place finish. Jamie.
And Dan Weldon running 10th right now, started this field 18th. He said he keeps thinking about the year he won here at the Indy 500, and he wants to get back. This team, Panther Racing, has finished 2nd here the last 2 years. Dan Weldon saying the car gets better the longer they run. Last stop, they made a turn of front wing.
Alex Tagliani is moved up to 11th place. It's been an interesting performance from Tagliani. The car was great early on, then they had a stint that wasn't so hot. Now they're running much better. Tag says this is the toughest race, the distance, 500 miles, the high number of pit stops, the ever-changing track conditions. By the way, track temperatures over 130 miles, 30 degrees. It is really hot down here, 95 air temperature. It has been tough conditions for the race teams. Staying on top of those conditions has been key for the 77 of Alex Tagliani. Scott Dixon is running in 12th. Dixon, a former winner here. Remember, they had the problem on pit lane where they lost the tire. Mike Hall, the strategist for Scott Dixon, said, we were off the horizon. Now we're back in the picture. We've still got plenty of laps to go. You're a champion. Hang in there. We're still in the mix. Dixon currently running 12th. Jamie?
And Alex Lloyd behind him told me before the start of this race, last week on bump day when he qualified for this field, it was the most stressful day of his life. He watched in past years, and this year he had to participate. Car is much better than he anticipated. He started 26th. He continues to move forward. And Danica Patrick right behind him. This team has been working tough to get her to the front. She used many of her push-to-passes in the first 100 laps. Car is getting better. She said it continues to be just a little bit loose. She likes the direction they are going with the front wing adjustments. Marty?
All right, thank you. Behind Danica, it's Ed Carpenter, Mike Conway, Simona, Graham Rahal, Justin Wilson, Mario Romancini. The 20 cars that are on the lead lap, and a number of cars, 8, are out of this race. Well, don't forget that Major League Baseball continues on ESPN tonight, and then ESPN tomorrow. First, it's Texas and Minnesota on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Then Tuesday night on ESPN at 7 Eastern, we've got the Phillies and the Braves, and all that is happening on ESPN tonight and tomorrow. It's Major League Baseball. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there goes Tony Kanaan flashing by in 2nd place. He is 7 seconds behind our race leader, but what's interesting is what's happening behind him. Thomas Scheckter is 3rd, and Marco Andretti is closing quickly. But guys, this is something we have to start talking about now. Marco has used 10 of his 15 push to pass. There's the numbers right there. He's used more than anybody else in the field, Eddie.
He's flying. If you imagine that push to pass as a credit card and you give one to all the race car drivers, Marco is going through his quickly. But he has been on a rampage for the last few laps. And I think Scheckter is his next victim.
Jamie, what are you hearing?
Well, guys, Kyle Moyer is the race strategist for Marco Andretti. He keeps having to tell his driver, I know you want to use the push to pass, but you have to be patient. Wait until the end. This car is great. It's balanced, but he just wants to get to the front. He wants to get there faster than anybody else.
Well, and you talked about it, Eddie. I mean, if he burns them all up and he's now in a late race sprint, he could find himself in some serious trouble.
Well, you will, because he's obviously proved how effective it is, and he's driving beautifully. He's come out of nowhere, and he's put himself in a great place in fourth place. But on those last laps, you have to have everything possible. The best set of tires, a lot of enthusiasm, and all that extra power that push to pass gives you. You can't go into that battle without that.
Scott, let's talk about the 18 seconds quickly. I mean, they get 18 seconds of power on this thing, then it cycles for 10 seconds. So it's about the length of a straightaway.
It is, and what a lot of drivers are saying is that they start to push it maybe just coming out of turn 1. They get that power in the short chute going through 2, and they get that run to go down the straightaway to hopefully help them assist slingshot past somebody in the draft. But, you know, if you use it and you have to maybe not be able to take advantage of it, what ends up happening in that scenario is if you've only used it on the gas, you had to get out of it for traffic, and you only use 10 seconds, you don't accumulate that age. You've lost one of those pushes. So critical timing on the push to pass.
All right, we're getting about 9 laps away from another round of pit stops, and we can tell you as we head for side-by-side, Sarah Fisher's car is being pushed to Gasoline Alley. She is out of the race. Looking down at the motor racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and our Helicam coverage brought to you by GoDaddy.com. And here we are completing lap number 139, and here comes Scott Dixon. As we told you, pit stops coming up, and they've already had one miscue today. They cannot afford another. And Dixon now in. Vince?
Scott Dixon has said it's not always that the fastest team on pit lane gets it done, but just be consistent. They've had their one bobble. It's not likely that they'll have another. Firestones and ethanol for Scott Dixon.
60 laps remaining. He obviously will have at least one more pit stop. You see several other cars that have taken advantage of this now and come in to pit lane for service.
I have a feeling that Chip Ganassi's Flying Scotsman Franchitti is just playing with the field right now. He still has a lot of push to go left in him. He's walking away from Kanaan. It's his race right now. He's very much in control, Scott.
Justin Wilson on the lead lap. He is now in to get his service. Four tires and fuel. Everything so far so good, and he is back underway. The lead by Franchitti is now 9.7 seconds over second place. Rick?
Thomas Schechter's brought the car in. Once again, Larry Curry says he's been happy with the car most of the way. Just a few minor adjustments. They've made no adjustments to the car on this stop, and he's away. Now remember, he pitted a little bit earlier because he was able to get in before that last yellow, which is why he's had to come in earlier.
All right, thanks for that update. And Dario Franchitti, you're right. He had 4 laps fewer because of that earlier pit stop. So now he makes his stop. Dario Franchitti, meanwhile, just continues to motor around with Tony Kanaan in second.
Tony Kanaan just doesn't have the pace that Franchitti has.
Rick, he's coming your way.
Yeah, and he was just saying that the car was loose on entry. So they're going to try and work on that. Overall, they've been very happy. It's just a situation of getting it tuned. Also keeping him calm so he doesn't run away too much. Very smooth pit stop. He gets out. Once again, the secret here is to try to keep him under control so he doesn't try to drive too hard and do too much.
Anna Beatrice, she comes in. She is 1 lap down, came in 19th position. And Anna has done very well. The goal was just complete every lap possible. And here comes our race leader right by her, Dario Franchitti, as he comes in now.
The car is oversteer and center of 1, but then Dixon understeer everywhere else.
You heard him talk about oversteer as he makes it down. Vince?
Exactly for Dario Franchitti. Understeer in turn 1, oversteer everywhere else. So that's a push going into turn 1 and loose everywhere else. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment for Dario. It's been a dominating performance. Jamie Little?
Mario Andretti watching his grandson pull his car down pit road. Marco Andretti says the car is good. No changes expected here on the 4. The 26 car right there, you see him on there. His teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay on pit lane. Everybody's set up now. The strategy is trying to be different, obviously, than those leaders. Remember, Marco, not good with patience today on that push to pass. They told him to pit as they count him down. Kyle Moyer on the radio. 4 tires, ethanol fuel is the call. See how fast they can get it done here, guys. They've been clean all day long for Marco Andretti, and the clock is on him. The 26 car continues to fuel. Fueling takes longer than tires here. He's down and away. Vince?
Elio Castroneves, their car has been getting better and better as the race progresses. That's always what they want to do. They're going to make a front wing adjustment. They've adjusted that front wing 3 times. Fuel is out. Oh, Elio stalls it. Elio stalled it in pit lane. These are the kind of mistakes that you just can't afford, and we've seen it from the big teams today. They'll restart it for Elio Castroneves, and away he goes, but a costly mistake for Roger Penske's team.
So 2 out of his 3 teams have now had pit lane errors. The captain is not going to be happy with that.
So uncharacteristic.
And chances for Elio may have just been diminished greatly for his 4th win. Here comes Will Power, Vince.
Power comes in second place because of the shuffling on these pit stops. They had the problem earlier with the fuel hose. They've corrected that. The car has been running very well. They put on a set of tires a couple of stints ago that didn't work for him, but all is well since then for Will Power. Clean stop for the 12, and he's out.
And because they had to push him back, guys, 4 seconds more.
You have to hit your marks when you come into the pits, and he actually lost his placing when he came in. Overshot the pits a little bit, guys. They had to push him back, and as you say, a delay. You cannot get the fuel probe in there, Vince, when that situation happens.
Ryan Briscoe in the 6. He's the one that's had the clean day in the pits. That's Roger Penske's driver. Roger handles the strategy for the 6, and it's a clean stop again. Ryan Briscoe, they've not made any changes to that car since the first stint. A good running so far for the 6 of Ryan Briscoe.
You're absolutely right. And remember one thing, this is the 2nd time under the green flag situation where Ryan Briscoe was able to go longer on a load of fuel than everybody else that's been in contention up front. So that is something, again, to log for that last round of pit stops. It could play a key role as we get close to the end of this race. All right, pit lane has been where most of the action has happened. There's your top 5 right now. Woo, don't go anywhere. All right, we're breaking out a commercial because the man we thought might have the best advantage for Team Penske has just crashed, bringing out our 7th caution. And you can see Roger Penske going, what happened?
Remember, Ryan just had service to his car, fuel and tires. And Eddie, we don't know what went on yet, but usually when you have this situation, you are so eager to get out of the pit lane and get going very quickly. Now, he's already starting to go a little bit high from the middle of the turn out. We don't know how he got there. And he came off of 4, had a second impact on the inside wall down here on the pit lane. And then you'll see the car veer to the right and go and hit on the outside of the wall here shortly. From Dan Weldon's car on the National Guard machine, he can see this happening. And Ed, you don't know what to do here. You just go for a clear spot and hope that none of the debris that's coming off lands inside your cockpit, or the car doesn't come back out in front of you and take you out.
That's when instinct just takes over. You have to do everything you can to make sure you don't hit anything. But looking at Briscoe's accident, he was up way too high. So it looks like he just had cold tires and it just didn't turn when he expected it to.
All right, we're going to go back to the commercial break. Best news is Ryan is okay, and we'll be back here to Indianapolis. We are almost 3/4 of the way through this year's 500. Back here at Indianapolis under our 7th caution, and let's take a look as they run right now in the IZOD IndyCar Series point standings, and you would see that Will Power would still be on top, but look at Dario Franchitti closing the gap as he would pick up 2 positions. Now, a lot still can unfold, and obviously today is all about the 500, but in the back of everybody's mind, there is still a championship to be won. All right, right now it is Dario Franchitti leading with Marco Andretti in 2nd place. And let's take a trip back in time to 1969, the only Andretti ever to win. And there he is, Mario, still having the burns around his face, taking the checkered flag for Andy Granatelli, getting the infamous kiss. And who knows, can it happen today? In 2nd place right now, could Marco turn the trick? And look at Andretti Autosport. We thought this team was going to be struggling. Well, look at this. 3 cars in the top 6, Jamie Little.
Wow is all we can say down here. Michael Andretti, you're running literally from pit to pit. Your overall impressions of how you guys are running at this point today?
Well, really good. It's going the way we had hoped the race would unfold, that it was hot and slippery, and we felt like we had really good cars in those conditions, and so far so good, but it's still a long way to go. We've been here before and had problems, so we just got to keep our heads down and keep going, but so far so good.
You're telling your boy, Marco, have patience. Stop using those push-to-passes. Does he have enough patience to get it done and get that win today?
Oh, I think so. I think he's really been focused, doing a really good job. He's been real calm in the car, and him and Tony are looking good. I think Hunter Ray too, so You know, we're in it with all three of them right now.
Thank you very much, Michael Andretti. Let's go back upstairs to Marty.
Well, telling this, Jamie, in 6 of the last 8 500s, the leader of the most laps did not win the race. Dario has led the most. Can he win it today? We'll be back after this message from our ABC stations.
You, right place. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Through the years, there's been nothing like the last 50 laps. Is it go time?
You got to be in the right moment, the right time. When? I think you feel it.
Go time is about halfway through the race. Go time again, that last 50 laps probably, you got to get close.
The last 30 miles is when things happen.
If there was an ultimate go time, it's from the last stop.
After the last pit stop. I think everybody's going to answer that.
You need to take bigger risks. It's the Indy 500. You don't get many shots at heading to the front in one, so while it's there, you better take it.
Marty, it has been a flawless race so far for Dario Franchitti, but as you put your finger on it all day, the man who leads the most doesn't always drink the milk at the end. But right now, he has been a flying Scotsman here this afternoon.
He certainly has, Brent, but one guy who has not had a flawless day is Ryan Briscoe. Dr. Jerry Punch has caught up with him.
Ryan, we talked to Roger. He said he just added some downforce in the car. What happened?
Yeah, you know, we were struggling a bit in traffic today, but had a really fast car. Just coming out of the pits that time, got up to turn 4. Didn't realize how hot it was. I'm really feeling it now, but I think we've just lost a bit of grip, and I just got up in the marbles a little bit halfway through turn 4. Didn't have as much grip as I expected, and it's just too bad. I knew it was about go time now. We had to start laying it down and at least have a shot at beating Dario today, but so disappointed. I wanted to win this so bad, and it's just tough to have to wait another year now.
How do your teammates beat Dario?
You know, I think Dario's had it pretty easy today running out front, and he's going to be a little bit surprised if someone can beat him in the pits. So I think if our guys can beat him in the pits, you know, Dario's going to have an unpleasant surprise out there with some traffic.
Let's see what Elio can do as he coming down pit road.
Yes, and he topped off, which gives him 12 laps in hand over everybody else that stays out right now. And he's going to need it because when he came in, he was in 17th. He's going to be at the very tail end of the lead lap, which will put him now in 19th position.
But he gets one yellow, and he should be able to make it to the end. All the other drivers right now will have to have one more stop if it's green all the way through. Elio would be on the cusp of making it, probably 3 or 4 laps short by my calculations. We'll see how this plays out.
45 laps to go as of right now. 44 next time by. It is Dario Franchitti, Marco Andretti, Tony Kanaan, Thomas Scheckter, Townsend Bell. And as we go back to green flag racing, Franchitti hits the button. So does Dan Weldon and Scott Dixon in 7th and 8th. And we're racing again at Indianapolis.
And there goes Kanaan.
Tony Kanaan trying to look under his teammate, Marco Andretti. Can he take second position? He does. The dust you saw was the oil dry that the safety crew had put down. Nobody having any problems. They all get through. Man, Franchitti's got himself a race car today, fellas. Second place, Kanaan. There is Marco Andretti. Look a little bit further back in 4th and 5th as they are getting a little closer to each other while the leaders are stretching it out.
The race car for Dario Franchitti now is just an extension of his body, simply, Eddie, because he can get on the gas. He's very comfortable with it. You can lean on it on the very first turn, and that tells you that you have a car that you're very pleased with.
Scheckter and Dan Weldon looking at each other, and then right behind them, that's Ryan Hunter-Reay taking a peek under Townsend Bell.
If we're going to make a run for it, this is the time to do it. And if they're going to stop Franchitti, I think Marco and Tony are going to have to start working together. If not, he's going to be putting distance between them and him.
Let's get an update on Thomas Scheckter. Rick DeBrule.
During that last yellow, we checked with Larry Curry, the strategist for the team, to say, have you used any of the push-to-passes? And he gave me this little wry smile, and he said, no, we haven't. And then on the radio, he reminded Thomas, by the way, you haven't used any of your push-to-passes yet. Now, he's been fast all day, but think about this. He was even faster during the week. He got a speeding ticket for going 100 miles an hour. Look at that action on the track.
Yes, Ryan Hunter-Reay gets underneath Townsend Bell and takes over the position. So move Ryan to 6th. Townsend back to 7th. Look behind him. There's even more action going on. That's Mike Conway taking a pit. And we're getting word that the 99 of Townsend Bell is going to get a black flag for blocking. So bad news for Townsend Bell. A little bit further back. That looks like the 12 of Will Power getting around. So move Power into the 9th position ahead of Conway.
Let's go back to Thomas Scheckter for a second. He has not used any of that go to pass yet, or push to go to pass, or whatever you call it. If he has all those 15 left for the last 20 laps, he is going to have a big advantage, and he's been holding his own, Scott, very well.
You would like to see maybe that he would use a couple of them to see if he has a shot at staying with Franchitti, because obviously Franchitti's not using his currently. But the question is, Franchitti have the strongest car? You mentioned before, Eddie, I think he certainly does. He just seems to be able to do whatever he wants, place it where he wants, and carry the speed comfortable going to the wall just like he did.
The drivers with the least amount of push to pass left, Townsend Bell, Scott Dixon, Alex Tagliani, all with 4 apiece. Side by side we go. We're under our 8th caution here at the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. You saw it on Side by Side. The youngest man in the field, 19-year-old Sebastian Saavedra. Right there is what's left of his Dallara chassis, as here's what happened at the south end.
Right in the middle of the turn, as we've seen quite a few times here today. Loses it right in the middle of the turn, goes off and ends up hitting the wall. And Sebastian did double duty here this weekend because he ran the Indy Lights race on Friday with his team and did a nice job. Finished 9th, I believe.
Yes, he did. He finished 9th in that race, and unfortunately now he becomes our 11th car officially out of this race.
Now, Marty, this will be interesting here because you're going about 30 to 32 laps under green with fuel. We're at lap 162 right now. These people that came in just close to probably, maybe about 4 or 5 laps ago before the restart, will they have enough laps underneath yellow here to be able to make it to the end?
Remember when we recently told you that 3 of the Andretti Autosport cars are in the top 6? Look at Danica Patrick, guys, because she has now fought her way back to 9th, and you just heard him call her in, that when the pit is open, and it is, they're going to bring her in.
Full of fuel.
Going to give her some wing, fuel, tires. Who else comes in? I think even Elio has to reconsider maybe.
I got a feeling everybody's going to be coming in on this one.
Well, here they come, led by race leader Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan. 60 miles an hour, the speed down pit road.
Except Castroneves, I don't think he will come in.
Let's go to Rick DeBrule.
Yeah, Tony Kanaan brings it in. He had been complaining earlier that he said he just didn't have enough speed. Then Steve Horns got back in his ear and said, "You're not doing bad. Stay with it, Jamie."
Marco Andretti is in for what they hope is the last stop. 4 tires, fuel. It's a good stop, Vince.
There's your leader, Dario Franchitti. Chip Ganassi reminded the team on the crew, it doesn't have to be a great stop, just make it a good one. Dario down and away with tires and fuel.
It was a great stop, 7.2, and it gets so close. Franchitti, Marco got out in front of Tony Kanaan. Dan Weldon picks up 1, Will Power picks up 3, Scheckter drops 2, and here are the guys that stayed out. Mike Conway, Justin Wilson, Elio Castroneves is now 3rd, Graham Rahal in 4th. They stayed out. Let's take a look again at this little nudge on pit lane. Right there.
That could be more than a little nudge. I think his left front could be bent there.
I think for Ryan Hunter-Reay, it could have knocked the toe adjustment out on the front of the car, possibly even the wing. Now, with the rear of the car hitting Ryan Hunter-Reay, I'm not sure that the number 9 target machine of Scott Dixon is going to have any damage because it's a little beefier back there. Let's watch this again. Watch him sort of come out. His right rear bumps into the left front of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
He was almost going to collect the whole Penske team.
And then here is the race off pit lane, and there you can see just how close it is. All right, we're going to go back to side by side. We have 37 laps remaining. We told you the top 4 stayed out.
The 2010 Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between. Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And new Wheaties Fuel. Prepare to win.
Back here at the motor racing capital of the world, you saw on side-by-side Will Power having to come back in a second time to change just one tire. Vince Welch is checking on that for us to get us an update on exactly why they came back. He is now last car on the lead lap in 19th. We're getting ready to go back to green. It's Mike Conway, Justin Wilson, Elio Castroneves, Graham Rahal.
Green.
And you heard it. We're back to green with Dario Franchitti and Marco Andretti, 5th and 6th. This is unfamiliar territory for Franchitti. We're going to find out how good his car is in traffic. He hasn't been in it all day. Look at this, going into the corner. Tony Kanaan, he makes a move. Here comes some more guys. Boy, Mike Conway is just getting swept up. There goes Franchitti. Down the backstretch, Marco Andretti takes a look to the outside of Kanaan. And those two trying to get around Anna Beatrice.
Oh, she's in a bad place there. You don't want to be up that high in that corner.
Just hang on to it, Anna. She has done a great job today in her rookie appearance here at the 500. Down the front straightaway, here goes Marco underneath her. She gives him the room. He makes the pass.
What a learning experience for any rookie that's here for the very first time, though, getting the wheel-to-wheel battle that she just experienced with some of the veterans at Indianapolis.
All right, let's go back up front. You've got Mike Conway leading the Indianapolis 500 for the first time in his career. Justin Wilson, Elio Castroneves, who has won it 3 times in 3rd. Graham Rahal and Dario Franchitti is now 4th. Now, Conway last pitted on lap 139. You can see we are working lap 168, so he is definitely going to have to make another stop. Castroneves came in on lap 151.
But the yellows can really play an important part here, and we've had quite a lot of those today. And the later you get in the race, the more people get aggressive, and the more aggressive you get, you start taking risks, and accidents will happen.
And also remember, we don't have the cockpit adjustable fuel trim for the drivers any longer, so he could not dial back on the knob like he did last year and go from full fuel, say, down to 95 or 94%. He now has to start using situations for himself, like maybe running a higher gear or maybe just easing off the throttle.
Let's get an update on the guys running 1st and 2nd. Dr. Jerry Punch.
That would be the driver and Ron Bowl teammates of Mike Conway and Justin Wilson. How about this little American team from Indiana that's done it the hard way? 11 years ago with 1 car, 1 engine, and a few volunteers. Now 4 cars in the field, and the top 2 on the podium are there. They say they can go to lap 188 to 190, possibly on fuel. If they were to get a yellow, they may make it to the checkered flag, and that would be the upset of upsets here at Indy.
Well, Mike Conway is now the 199th different driver to lead here at the Indianapolis 500. He is our 6th different leader today, and we've had 11 lead changes. All right, take a look at the top of your screen. The number you see next to the driver is how many push to pass they have left. You can see Alex Lloyd, for example, with 15, Townsend Bell with only 3. So that gives you an idea as these guys are really starting to burn them up. That is Graham Rahal. Rahal running in 4th. Can he pull off the big upset after being penalized earlier in the race?
Now, Castroneves is trying to save all of the fuel he can, because if he gets a break on a yellow, he might be in the running for the end, and he still has some pushes.
He has 8 push to pass remaining for Elio Castroneves in that number 3 Penske machine.
As we talked about before, Eddie, he doesn't want to use them at any time currently because it will just consume more fuel. As you mentioned, he's trying to save fuel. So he's pedaling through there right now. As you mentioned, trying to ease off the throttle, going down the straightaway maybe a little sooner than normal, trying to take that draft off the car in front. He's just hoping and hoping you have a situation for a short yellow.
Graham Rahal almost had a moment.
No, he had a moment. He almost had an accident. Every time you push that button, you're going to go faster. That's true, but you're also going to use too much fuel, and you need it. We don't know what's going to happen as far as the yellows are concerned.
All right, let's talk to the man who calls the shots for Elio Castroneves, Tim Cindric. Vince?
Well, it's been an amazing performance and up and down here after that pit stop incident with stalling the car, Tim, but you've come in and topped off twice. How close are you to making it to the end on the fuel you have?
Well, fate's going to have to decide this because we're going to need a couple of yellows here to get to the end. But the way we figured it, Indy, you either win or you don't. So we're going to roll the dice here and see what happens. But we're definitely short at this point.
There you have it, Marty. A little bit short, but at Indy, you never know. Well, and went into fourth victory.
Yeah, and we'll just have to find out because, as they say, I mean, if we get a 9th caution, it could help a lot of these guys as we are approaching, well, you can see right there, 172 of 200 laps as we go side by side. And we welcome you back to the Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com and our aerial coverage brought to you by GoDaddy.com. What a great view from the Helicam of this beautiful 2.5-mile facility as the speeds are flying. And Mike Conway continues to lead. He's only in his 2nd year here at Indianapolis, but in that number 24 machine, he has now led 15 laps, but he has got to pit. He finished 18th last year on the lead lap, and he's going to have to make a green flag stop because he is running out of fuel.
But he led his first laps at the Indy 500, and that is an accomplishment.
And here he comes, so he'll surrender the lead to Justin Wilson. Let's send it to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Marty, they were hoping to go about 5 or 6 laps more, but they just couldn't. They did a recalculation on the fuel mileage. He's not getting nearly as good a fuel mileage as his teammate, Justin Wilson. The 26-year-old English driver will come down and make his final stop of the day. No major adjustments, a little bit of air pressure change on the car. But for this team, now they are going to make a half a turn on the front wing as he is down and away for his final stop. Teammate Wilson still on the track for 4 or 5 more laps.
Yes, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are definitely going to have to potentially make another stop. Certainly, you're looking at Wilson, Castroneves, and Graham Rahal on lap 151, 55, and 54, respectively. The guy in the catbird seat is 4th place, Dario Franchitti. He last out at 163. Let's take a look at our Firestone Lap Leaders because we've had a total of 7 of them here in the race. And we've had a total of 12 lead changes. Dario Franchitti, as you can see, has led far and away the most laps. And surprisingly, Mike Conway in 2nd with 15. All the way down to Marco Andretti with 1. Well, you saw that onboard view of Dario. He does not look like that car is stressed or he is not flogging at all. I think he knows those 3 in front of him, they have got to pit if this stays green.
Definitely, and he knows that he has a big advantage on Marco.
Let's check in on Tony Kanaan because he is now in 5th place, right behind Franchitti. He's about 4 seconds behind as he got around Marco Andretti. Let's take you back and show you what happened there between the 2 Andretti Autosport teammates.
See Marco up front having a little bit of difficulty getting through the turn, loses momentum. Tony Kanaan aboard the 7-Eleven machine takes advantage of it. Just a clean pass, not going to be any difficulty there between teammates.
Marco must have really had a problem there because Kanaan passed him even getting off the throttle. And in 4, you never ever get off the throttle unless you're way offline.
And you can see the view up in front. He's got a long way to go. Let's check in on Justin Wilson because Justin has a little piece of Indy history now. He is now the 200th driver to lead a lap here in the Indianapolis 500. And he is going to have to make a stop soon, but Justin getting his moment in the sun, shall we say. 19 laps to go. And we'll go side by side one more time as Justin Wilson, Helio Castroneves, and Graham Rahal have to make stops.
You still got to help me out here. I need 3.8, at least 3.8 or better. 3.9. I need 3.9 at least.
Hey, Eddie. You guys, nothing was wrong with Marco. Kyle Moyer literally told him, you must lift to save us fuel. Told him to get behind Tony Kanaan. He has to save 2 and stay there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we heard that on radio too, where he said he needs 3.9. Well, they're saying if he gives him 3.9, he will. The problem is Dario is, you know, going to be long gone. Yeah, all these guys up front, the three up front, desperately need a yellow.
I'm not even sure that Elliott would make it even with a caution. Those first couple guys would there right now.
Well, I'm wondering why Marco stopped at 163. Dario's sure not slowing down. Maybe that's something we need to toss around.
Okay, keep working this. Keep working this. Everybody's in the same boat. They're in 4, so are we now. We're going to get 4 miles to gallon.
Now we're up to 4.
Marco, we got to lift. We have to lift. We cannot run this way.
He's using that credit card. Back here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Justin Wilson continues to lead. Elio Castroneves, Graham Rahal, Dario Franchitti, and Tony Kanaan. Marco Andretti is in 6th. We've been listening to the radio during the break, and all the teams are in the same boat. They have got to get fuel economy. Let's listen to Marco's radio.
Marco, we got to lift. We have to lift. We cannot run this way.
And he says he wants 4.0. What's he talking about?
Well, he wants to get 4.0 miles to the gallon. Well, I think that's very difficult to do. And when he says you have to lift, what he's asking him to do is to lift going through the turns.
Get these guys, and you help work with me here. And everybody's in trouble. We can make this work.
And even lift going down the straightaway to help him make fuel. And Jamie Little, it doesn't sound like the driver is really listening in on that very well.
Well, it goes back to that patience thing. I actually just asked Kyle Moyer, did you guys get the fuel cell all the way full? Remember, he had a blistering fast pit stop. They gained 1 position, and the sound of the voices here on the radio sounds like they didn't get it all the way full, guys.
The pace has really dropped down.
4-1 now. We need 4-1.
Now there's his Firestone telemetry, and you can see, look at the speed, down to 210. Dario Franchitti ran 215 for the last lap. So even they're thinking they need to save fuel.
When they started this negotiation, he was telling me, he said he needed 3.8, then 3.9, now 4. So they're trying really hard to stretch the fuel out as far as they can so they can take advantage of a yellow.
And for him to make fuel right now, what he can do is go from 5th up to 6th gear, get some lower RPMs, and breathe off the throttle. He just is not taking his foot off the throttle right now to help make some fuel.
We can tell you that Anna Beatrice is in for what will be her final stop. She is in 20th position, 1 lap down. This has been a very solid day for the young Briscoe.
An extremely professional race.
Let's go back out on track, and we can see that Justin Wilson continues to lead. Now his last lap was at 2:21. He knows he's got to stop, so he's trying to make as much ground up as possible so that when he does come in, he can get back out on the track in a better position.
But it really is just going to come down to who can stretch his fuel as long as it possibly can. And we haven't heard one sound from Franchitti's radio, have we?
Not a blip. He has dropped back, though, a 7.4 seconds behind the race lead, and it looks like he's saving fuel as well, Vince.
That's exactly right, and Dario is not communicating on his radio. In fact, they're just talking to Dario about what kind of an advantage he has on the car behind him, which is Tony Kanaan, saving desperately in the 10 pit, hoping to make it to the end as you see the 22 come to the pits, Jerry.
Yeah, Justin Wilson to try to make it. They rolled the dice here in the driver and Ron Bull pits, hoping for a yellow flag to be able to make it. They could not make it all the way. So with 12 left to go, making 11 to go, he is on and off pit road, making his final stop.
Graham Rahal has also pulled down pit lane. Marco Andretti continues out.
Dario needs 4.0. We need 4.1. He's in trouble too.
Boy, Rahal's got problems, so his day, as he's finally getting down, he gets back out on track. A good run, but it's not going to be good enough. Castroneves right now, a 6.9 second lead over Dario Franchitti. He is the last one of this group that came in earlier than that pack that's behind him, Franchitti, Kanaan, and Marco.
I don't think Franchitti is that sure he's going to make it on fuel either.
You're looking at his speeds, 217. That's not been his race pace. And meanwhile, Elio Castroneves, He too has backed off. He's running 2:15 now, as he is now led in his 7th Indy 500, and he becomes our 8th different leader today.
But what Castroneves is doing is he's having those cars in front of him open up the air, and you are so much more fuel efficient when you do that. They have to do everything they can to save fuel.
He's got traffic right in front of me. What are you hearing, Vince?
Well, in regards to Helio Castroneves, Tim Cindric just asked him, could you go an extra 10 laps on those tires if we splashed fuel? That's all they need, is just a splash to get there. And if the tires would hold up with enough fuel when everybody else is saving, maybe that would be enough to get there, as you see the telemetry for Helio Castroneves. It's going to be close.
He goes around Simona Di Silvestro, and he's breathing that throttle.
All the way down to 213 in the corners. A throttle all the way out to 48%.
Next time by, no, he's not going to make it. So he is coming in. We thought he would have to. The green, oh, and he may have been too fast.
He might have been over.
Yeah, he wants some more tires now from flat spotting those. If they were going to keep them on, they might reconsider.
8 laps to go. Vince, he's coming your way.
Well, Helio Castroneves, as we had just told you, they were hoping that maybe they could do it with fuel only and no tires. And now, how long this ride down pit lane must be. Scott makes the comment that after busting those tires, they're going to have to change them, and they are indeed. 4 fresh Firestones for Helio, just a splash of fuel to get him to the end. Now it's going to be a race. Is the fuel going to be enough for Helio to pass through the pack?
Dario Franchitti will now take over the race lead. He's got Tony Kanaan 1.2 seconds behind him, and both of them are in fuel conservation. They're running 2:15 and 2:16. That's Kanaan, the second car in the screen.
And he's closing the gap. If Kanaan can get behind Franchitti, again, he's going to start saving more fuel, and Franchitti is going to be burning more, so it's going to be a tight run.
Need to help us with the mileage. We need help with the mileage.
You hear the call.
1.6 to Kanaan.
That 1.6 was the time difference.
Ashley Judd, Dario's wife, holding her breath. Maybe her husband picks up win number 2 here at the Speedway with 7 laps remaining. Dario, that last lap, he picked it up to 220 miles an hour.
This is one of those deals where you'd pay $2 million for a gallon or 2.
How about, let's get an update on another one of the cars in contention. Jamie Little?
Well, the National Guard car is Dan Weldon. They told him he is good on fuel to the end. Hammer down, guys, and he continues to make passes toward the front, 3rd right now.
He finished 2nd here last year. Let's get an update on Tony Kanaan in 2nd. Rick DeBrule.
Well, they just told Tony Kanaan to speed it up a little bit. He's still in fuel-saving mode, but they think at this point that he's got to be able to get back up behind there. Now think about this. When he won the championship about 5-6 years ago at Fontana, he started from the back of the pack and was able to pull it off and win the championship that way. He's beginning to think it is all or nothing, and this is the way he wants to do it. Now, they've just told him he's going to come in for a splash of fuel.
Fuel.
0.3 of a second. Traffic helps, it hurts in both respects. On board with Dario Franchitti. He is trying to get the tow from Simona Di Silvestro. You heard the radio on Tony Kanaan. Fuel, fuel, fuel.
Pit.
They are going to need to splash with 4 laps to go, this time by, oh, the heartbreak for the 11. Can they...
Splash and go. Splash and go. Airport splash. Only 2 gallons. Splash and go. Splash and go.
Scott, you know what this is like, as here he comes, gets his splash. You started 33rd, finished 2nd. He was in 2nd when he came in. And now Dario Franchitti, 4.9 seconds ahead of Dan Weldon. 3 laps to go next time by.
But the fuel is in question right now. Has he been able to save enough fuel? Will he make it all the way, or will this be one of these situations where the car coughs possibly in the last lap or even the last turn?
It is really difficult to get all the fuel out of a fuel tank like that. You can't count on every little bit coming out of it.
There's the gap, as we can show you, to 2nd place Dan Weldon. They're coming down the front straightaway, so 3 laps remaining. Franchitti, the 2nd car in your screen, has the lap traffic in front of him, clears him easily. He's in the south chute, heading through 2. The question now is only about fuel. He has led 152 of 197 laps.
And Marty, all the top guys right now, Franchitti, Weldon, and Andretti, all stopped at the same time for fuel, so who's been the best here to save, or will they all run out?
Frankitti's last lap at only 208 miles an hour. Weldon at 214. Here we come down the front straightaway once again. This time by, there will be 2 laps remaining. 5 miles.
He needs to let that car behind him pass him and drag him around for the rest of the lap.
He's going slow enough. He's 202 that last lap.
Take your time.
At 206.
Take your time. Weldon's in 1 now.
This is incredible.
Everybody
Need help from the
saving
spotters.
fuel. He is almost at a snail's pace considering how fast he was running earlier in the race.
They could get out and almost run faster now. That's what he's doing. He's letting that other car get up ahead of him.
Coming by the next time, it will be the white flag here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Everyone in the grandstands are on their feet. Can he make it? Can he make it? 2.5 more miles. Weldon is 3 seconds behind. There's Weldon, the top of your screen. He's letting everybody go by. He's doing everything he can to save fuel. And Weldon, can he close? It's 3.6 seconds as they head through 1. Oh, we've got a crash. Oh, a wicked crash involving 2 cars at least.
He's won it.
He's going to win it.
Franchitti has won it.
Ryan Hunter-Reay involved in this.
Take the warm-up lane.
I could not see who else was involved from our angle. If he can make it to the stripe, and they told him to take the warm-up lane.
The RL guy up here to take the warm-up lane.
So he is already in the warm-up lane.
And back onto the track there.
45 years ago, his idol, Jimmy Clark, won his one and only Indy 500. And oh my, what a mess in that corner. There's his wife. Today, Dario will pass his childhood hero and win his second Indianapolis 500 as he is able to coast across if he has to now. And Dan Weldon, for the 2nd year in a row, will finish second right behind him.
What an incredible finish.
Hey, baby, check a flag.
Can't believe it.
Chip has won the Daytona 500.
And now the Indianapolis 500. No car owner has ever pulled off that feat in the same year.
Way to go, way to go.
Has now done it.
Oh, my heart starts beating again. 247, you're the man!
That is incredible.
The report we have is the car that was upside down is the 24 of Mike Conway. We are awaiting word from safety officials that he is okay. The exultation in one side, and there is what's left of Mike Conway's car. And he is still in the car. The safety crew has got his helmet off. All right, let's go back and show you what happened here.
And that car is certainly destroyed, but you can see Mike moving inside the car. He's going on the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. This reminds me almost of Dan Weldon's crash here in turn 3 and 4 quite a few years ago, and the car is up into the fence, which is almost reminiscent of Kenny Brack's accident at Texas quite a few years ago, guys. Very, very lucky.
You know, he was incredibly lucky that he did not go head into that fence. That is a horrible impact.
Wow. All right, let's go on board from Elio Castroneves' point of view.
See, Mike was trying for some reason to go on the inside.
Wow, he almost collected Anna Beatrice. Now from Ryan Hunter-Reay's car.
So you can see that he got hit on the inside and up over the top, and you can see Ryan Hunter-Reay moving his hands, and he looks up in front of him and he goes, my gosh, I can't believe that.
Oh, wow. Oh, so close. Unreal. And they are still working on extricating Mike Conway. As soon as we get an update on his condition, we will, of course, pass it on. Let's send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
And we are running along beside Ashley Judd, who was just overcome with emotion. She was crying, and now she clipped off her shoes. and is running up pit road to try to get to her husband. Just tears of joy, tears of elation as she is running up to try to get to him. Her husband promised her sister a birthday present today. He said, I will win the Indy 500 for you. Guys?
Doc, you better get in shape, buddy. She's out running. Keep up with her. You're doing a great job. It's been a long day. And listen to the crowd celebrating as Ashley heads towards her husband, Dario Franchitti, and boy, he lights him up.
He did everything absolutely right today, didn't he?
Led 155 of the 200 laps. And Chip Ganassi now has his 4th Indy 500 win. Jamie?
It's hot now. Walking down pit road, waving to everybody, saying how hot it is. Chip, first owner ever to win the Daytona 500, to win the Indy 500. What is this moment like?
I don't know. I mean, I'll think about that later. Right now, I want to congratulate Dario. I want to thank everybody that's a part of this team to put this team together today. And, you know, that brought that car home to victory. It was a little dicey there at the end. We were trying to save some fuel to get to the finish. I got a great crew of guys. I got great sponsors. I'm a lucky guy.
So close on fuel, Chip. What are you going to tell Dario?
You know, just like he did at Homestead last year, how he won the championship. He saved fuel when he had to.
All right, congratulations. Chip Ganassi making his way into victory lane.
And we can update you, Mike Conway is out of the car. He did wave to the crowd. If we get further news, we'll, of course, pass that along as well. As you can see, Dario making his way to the victory podium. Let's go through it, Rich. We get a chance. It's Franchitti, Weldon, Alex Lloyd with his best finish in 3rd. Scott Dixon comes back for 4th. Danica Patrick will finish in 5th. Marco Andretti 6th. Wilson 7th. Power 8th. Castanevis 9th. Tagliani 10th. Let's send it to Vince Welch.
What a scene here in Victory Circle at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Honda's 100th victory, Chip Ganassi's 4th as a team owner, and the 2nd Indianapolis 500 win for Dario Franchitti, as Franchitti puts on the Firestone hat, being congratulated by his team, and certainly Ashley Judd, his wife, shedding tears, and Dario's tears are tears of joy as he prepares to get out of the race car, and now Chip Ganassi has come over to celebrate. I can tell you guys that Chip Ganassi was on the radio being a cheerleader to this team today, reminding the team on that last pit stop, just be solid. They were better than solid. Very fast on that final stop, encouraging them to keep their heads throughout the day, and now Dario making his way out of the car to celebrate. The CEO of Borg Warner, Tim Manganiello, will put the wreath around Dario's shoulders and give him a handshake of congratulations. Ashley comes in for the kiss. Dario's birthday earlier this month, a little bit of a delayed birthday present, but certainly a celebration will ensue tonight. Remember when Dario won in 2007, and now the Queen comes in, Brooke Dorsett. Franklin Weaver from Bennington, Indiana, and the American Dairy Association will come in with the milk momentarily. Dario's father with an emotional hug of his son in victory lane. Remember when Dario won in 2007? It was a rain-shortened race. No shortening to this one today. It went the distance, and Dario will drink the milk and celebrate here in victory lane, his 2nd Indianapolis 500 victory. They're going to make him work for it. There's the lid.
And now the traditional swim belt.
How sweet the milk tastes when you are the winner at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And a little clink of the glasses for Dario and Chip. Congratulations. How good did that milk taste, my friend?
I was just asking Chip how good it felt to win Daytona and Indianapolis in the same year. He's hugging all the trophies here. I was just thinking this tastes just as good second time. That was, up until 10 laps to go, it was pretty relaxed, and then all hell broke loose with fuel saving and stuff. And the number 10 target car was the dominant car today. I've got to thank all these guys and this team, and thank you to the fans for coming out to the Speedway today, and it feels great.
Now your voice the tempo of your voice was really ramped up over those last 10 seconds in your radio communication. How frightened were you that you weren't going to have enough fuel to make it to the end?
I just needed to know what the other guys were doing. And I was thinking, well, if they're saving more than me, they're doing something very special here. I just needed to know the gap behind, and there was a bit of confusion, and I wasn't getting that gap, and so I had to kind of tell them what I needed. So, man, this means so much. This is, to come back after going away for a year, win the championship, and now win the Indy 500. Thank you to everybody at Team Target, and I'm pretty damn near speechless right now.
Dario Franchitti, he has won the Indianapolis 500 for the second time.
And the wreath around his neck, you remember when that started? It was 50 years ago with Jim Rathman when he won in 1960. There are 33 orchids and 33 miniature checkered flags. And here it was just a few moments ago as Dario Franchitti finishes winning his second Indianapolis 500 here, and the crew just celebrating and saying, we did it, we dominated, and we did it. And wife Ashley sprinting to give her husband a victory kiss. The celebration continues in Victory Lane at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Dario Franchitti has now become a two-time winner of this storied event. The glory on one end of the track and the agony and pain at the other as late in the race. Here's the glory part. At the far end of the racetrack between turns 3 and 4 is the agony for Mike Conway as he touches wheels with Ryan Hunter-Reay. And oh, what a scary crash.
And what a lucky driver that the cars are so safe.
Take a look from on board with Danica Patrick as she ends up.
Watch your inside. Inside.
And she would end up in 5th place today. And Jamie, that's another top 5 for her.
It sure is another top 5 for Danica at the Indy 500. You told me how frustrating it's been that you have been on the bottom part of that pylon. This is the highest you have been, Danica. Take us through your roller coaster day.
It is, thank you. Congrats to Dario. Good to see him in Victory Lane. He's such a good friend, good guy. Gosh, I knew that the strength of the team was going to be the race running. The GoDaddy car got up front. Every other car got up front. I had faith in that. What can I say? The pit stops were great. They were. I mean, if I kept telling the guys on the radio, if I got as many guys on the track as you got me in the pits, we'd be looking really good. But it was a little tough to pass. It was a little tough to pass. But it was between the pit stops and the strategy. This is why we're in the top 5.
New strategist, of course, Ziggy on board with you. But Danica, we just watched the onboard from your car, Mike Conway in the fence. What was that like?
Oh man, I mean, I don't look. If things happen on the track, they happen, but I hope he's not hurt. I never want to see people hurt. It's never good, because that could just as easily be me one of these other times. So, it's not comforting going underneath a car flipping up in the air. Cars are kind of like footballs out there. You're not sure which way they're going to go and swing and loop. So, I got through it, and but I hope they're okay. It's never good when people are upside down and doing cartwheels. So,
well, Mike Conway is okay. He's just complaining of foot pain as of now. But Danica, you've been faced with some adversity this month. You've gotten some boos from the fans, and I hear a bunch of people here cheering Danica. What has that been all about?
Oh, it's been an exciting month. I've been booed for, largely for the first time. I've been booed before. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I didn't say the right thing after qualifying, and I reassured all my guys that it wasn't them I was talking about. It was just. It's hard when you're on the outside looking in to hear comments like that, and so I can't say those things for those who don't know the situation, things like that sound wrong. So I apologize. And at the end of the day, the race is what matters, and got a top 5. And Jamie, I am a little relieved.
And all is forgiven on the team side, we might add. Thank you, Danica.
Fantastic job.
Let's go over to Rick.
Standing by with Dan Weldon, who finished second, and I'm looking at a wily veteran here. You were on the same fuel strategy, basically, as Dario Franchitti, but you had more fuel at the end. How?
Well, you know, first and foremost, I got to thank, you know, the National Guard for giving me the honor of driving their race car. It's truly a pleasure, especially on Memorial Day weekend. I think, you know, hopefully that put a smile on all the soldiers' faces out there that are out in Iraq and Afghanistan and, you know, across the globe, because it's truly very touching to drive their car. And, you know, they've been a great supporter of me and everybody at Panther Racing. But I was on the same strategy as Dario, but I'm going to... you know, I was very disciplined for once in my life. I could hear the team screaming at me to save fuel, but I had a feeling that they were telling me a story when they said I was comfortable at the start of that stint. And I took it upon myself to save a lot early on, just because I could see the fuel number and I could see the amount of laps left. And, you know, I just was saving and saving and saving. And then it got to the point where everybody slowed down, but I kept staying the same pace. And I could see him at the end, but when they were screaming at me, I just backed it off. And unfortunately, I should have kept going, because I had fuel in the car when it came into the pits. But an excellent job. I want to thank Honda and Firestone. I should thank my wife too, because I've been tough to deal with. This is such a great race. There's so many fans here. It's you know, thanks to IZOD for making IndyCar sexy again and cool, but it's been a great day so far.
All right, Dan Weldon finishing second for the second time in a row. Doc?
Hold on, guys, we're on radio. Back at the Medical Center with Dr. Mike Olinger, the medical director for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And Mike, what's the status right now of Mike Conway?
Mike Conway never lost consciousness. He's been awake and alert ever since the crash. He does have an orthopedic injury to his right leg that's going to require evaluation and treatment at Methodist. We're going to fly him to Methodist just because of the traffic situation, and because it's a non-time critical thing. We can get him stabilized here, then load him into the helicopter and fly him off.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
A great report. Mike Conway, awake, alert, stable, going by helicopter only because of traffic, but he has dodged a big-time bullet here.
You better say that again, Doc. That was an unbelievable crash. And there is Dario, along with wife Ashley, team owner Chip Ganassi, as they're climbing into the pace car, and they'll take the victory lap around this 2.5-mile story at Oval. And we mentioned the fact that history was made. Remember earlier this year when Jamie McMurray took the checkered flag first at Daytona? Well, of course, Chip Ganassi, an owner of that team. And there is the Harley Earl Trophy. You know, this is the first time the Harley Earl has ever been away from Daytona. It's here this weekend. And it's side by side with the Borg Warner. And guess who brought it home? Dario Franchitti for his owner, Chip Ganassi.
The 2010 Indianapolis 500. Telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between. Firestone, the first name in Indy racing. IZOD, the IZOD IndyCar, fastest seat in sports. And Apex Brazil, the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency.
Well, Dario Franchitti becomes the 8th driver with at least 2 wins. He joins a group of Tommy Milton, Bill Vukovich, Roger Ward, Gordon Johncock, Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser Jr., and Ari Leyendijk. And let's talk to the man who was trying for 4, Vince.
Yeah, our day started with the conversation about winning a 4th Indianapolis 500 for Helio Castroneves. It wasn't to be today. A tough day at the office, and I know you had a handful of a race car early, but let's talk about the pit stop where the car stalled on exit. What happened?
Well, as I said, this is a place that the team and driver makes less mistakes wins, and certainly we make one crucial mistake. I made one crucial mistake and leaving the pits, and the guys did an incredible job all month long, and I let it stall right lap 150, and those things, especially on that, is crucial. So put us on the back to see a great strategy. He ended up trying to save us a little bit, which in fact finished in the top 9. But I have to recognize Dario was incredible. He was so fast. So well done, Target Ganassi. You guys did it well. Thank God at least Will and I finished in the top 10. A shame, Ryan, but let's go for next one.
Helio Castroneves, he's 9th today. Rick?
Standing by with Tony Kanaan, you didn't get the finishing position you wanted, but you still have to be impressed with how far you came today.
Oh, definitely. I gotta thank the whole 7-Eleven crew. Those guys pass as much cars as I pass on the racetrack in the pit. So great job. I mean, the fans were great with me. I think I felt like I had won the race.
Now let's talk about, you were behind Dario for so long. If you'd had enough fuel to make it to the end, and he had, would you have been able to catch him? Did you have a car that was fast enough?
Let me put it this way. The best car and the best driver today won the race and was fair enough. I don't think our results were fair enough, but that's the way it is. What's important is the winner of this race had the dominant car and won the race today.
All right, Tony Kanaan coming all the way from the back and came so very close. Jamie?
And Marco Andretti 6th on the board, but he's telling me you think you finished 3rd, Marco. What happened on that last lap?
It's a pretty well-written rule. You can't pass under yellow. I mean, I'm talking to my team saying, well, we tried, good job, and next thing I know, people were just passing me. So we're under our own power, so I don't know what to say. I mean, it's pretty blatant. They all just blew by me.
Frustrating end to Marco Andretti's day. He brings it home 6th. Let's go to Marty.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. Quick final thoughts, guys.
Well, we talked at the very beginning of the show that the team that will win here today will be the driver and the crew that does not make a mistake, and I think we saw that today with Dario.
I agree totally. Dario was dominant. He made fuel when he had to, and he was always fast. It's right that he won.
So as we watch Dario Franchitti continue to make the victory lap around the 2.5-mile storied oval, which is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we saw a truly dominant performance, 155 laps led of the 200 by Franchitti. We had a total of 8 different leaders with 14 lead changes. And as we pointed out throughout the course of the day, it was pit lane where the race really was decided for a lot of these teams.
In a negative manner, that's where they lost it. But Franchitti was impeccable, and his team was impeccable.
So how do you think Chip Ganassi feels winning both trophies in the same year, being Daytona and Indy?
Well, I'm certain that he's on a high right now, Marty, and he will take that and use that as motivation over the next couple of days. But these guys are well aware that they're off to Texas next weekend, a very tough high bank 1.5-mile track, and they're chasing a championship from here on forward.
Well, you mentioned the fact that they're heading for Texas next. Of course, that will be on Versus, and we have 2 more of our events on the IZOD IndyCar Series. Our next date will be Sunday, July 4th. That's right, July 4th weekend, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. And we hope we'll see you then. A storied course there. What a great road course where Formula One used to race. And as the celebration continues, we're going to send it over to our good buddy, Brent Musburger. Brent, take us home.
Marty, thank you very much. Another great job, guys. And Dario Franchitti, well, he may be the most popular Scotsman this side of, well, Sean Connery. You know, he's a bit of a Renaissance man. Flies helicopters, collects Ferraris, very well read. And oh yes, did we tell you he's married to Ashley Judd? And for the 2nd time in his 7-year career here at Indianapolis, he has kissed the bricks and taken a swig of milk. A 2-time champion from Scotland, Dario Franchitti. It was another glorious day at Indianapolis, under bright sunshiny skies with a lot of humidity in the air, and another crowd that swelled in excess of 250,000 people. Tony Kanaan, one of the stories, along with Elio and Jasper Nevis. Jack Nicholson waved the flag to send them on their way. Early crashes and accidents. Fortunately, no one seriously hurt. And here today, Dario Franchitti wins the Indy 500